something has happened. Something incredible has happened, and I don't know how to explain to you how amazing this is without just telling you from the beginning. I don't even know what year it was. Early 2000s, late 90s, I'm not really sure. Someone in Georgia found an albino timber rattlesnake, and that's really rare. It's the first one ever documented in Georgia. Really cool. Orange and white snake. Then in 2006, someone found a little tiny baby albino timber rattlesnake, and we still have that snake. Several years later, here she is, the beautiful albino timber rattlesnake that we named Firecracker. I love this snake. She is absolutely stunning. She's orange, white, with the beautiful white rattle there, and gorgeous, gorgeous girl. And I just could not believe someone had seen this snake crossing a dirt road and decided not only not to kill it, but to catch it and give it to us. Now, she wasn't this big. She was a little tiny baby, a little baby rattlesnake. And I remember being so scared that this snake was not going to eat. It was just going to die in captivity. And of course you can see she's a very well-fed snake. It is a female, and she does very, very well. Very beautiful snake. I love this snake. But this is not the amazing thing that happened that I want to tell you about. Something really cool. Let's put this one up. I've got another snake to show you. And then 2017 rolls around, and we get a phone call on a Sunday afternoon. Someone's moving a wood pile, and they discovered a little baby albino timber rattlesnake. And it's grown substantially since we've got it. At this point, it is 2 years old, and it's doing really well. And this also, like our other albino timber found in 2006, this one's 2017, this is also a female. Beautiful, beautiful albino timber, and the third known albino timber rattlesnake ever found in Georgia. Which brings us to our next snake. This is so cool. All right, here's the snake I want to show you. Someone found this rattlesnake and decided not to kill it, but give it to us. And yes, this is a normal timber rattlesnake. It looks like a normal timber rattlesnake, but it's not. As soon as we got this snake, we realized it was a she, and she was gravid. That's snake talk for pregnant, okay? I knew she had babies. I just bit the microphone off of my camera. Can I please have that back? I need it. So instead of just moving her somewhere, relocating, I decided to keep her and see if we could get some babies from her. And we did. Here's what I want to show you. 14 baby timber rattlesnakes. 14! Well, 14 normal baby timber rattlesnakes. That is an albino timber rattlesnake. And as far as I know, the first one ever born in captivity. This is absolutely amazing. But we don't have just one. We have two. Two albino timber rattlesnakes. That's 16 babies this snake gave birth to. 14 normals and 2 albino timber rattlesnakes. Put them all in this enclosure away from the mom. And we're going to keep them in here until these snakes start to eat. As they begin to take their first meals, we'll move them into a different cage. But we can't even offer them their first meal until they shed for their first time, and that's not going to happen until they're about a week old. And until that time, they're not really interested in eating. But as one snake starts to shed, all the others seem to start doing it too. Once all the snakes have shed their skin, their colors are more vivid, they're more active, a lot of tongue flicking going on. So I'm thinking it's time to introduce some mouse pinkies. The first one I put in, Rattlesnake grabs it right off. Doesn't even hesitate. That is a really good sign. I didn't have any more mouse pinkies, so we had to get a little bit bigger mouse. I hope the snake can eat it. But he doesn't seem to really know what to do because this is kind of a big mouse for this little snake. So I decided to go ahead and kill the mouse, put it back in, and see if the snake was still interested. And he is. More and more snakes decided that mice tasted good. And as the snakes moved around and the mice were moving around, it kind of created a ripple effect. It interested all the snakes. A couple of them, we couldn't get them interested, so I started tease feeding. That's moving this mouse around, letting the snake see some movement there, and that attracts the snakes to come over and hopefully eat the mouse. And after he grabs it, I still move it a little bit. That helps him really lock on there and really want to hang on to this mouse and actually consume it. They all seem to be doing great. Everyone's eating except for the albinos. Those are the ones I'm really worried about. Everybody's eating great. I've got to get the albinos to eat. They seem interested, but they don't seem to really recognize mice as food. So I come back a few days later. We introduce some pinky mice in here, and the rattlesnake in the back corner, the albino back there, is a lot of tongue flicking going on. He's right up on this mouse, and just when I think he's about to grab it, he doesn't. This is not good. But then that night, I see this rattlesnake, and he's showing a lot of interest in me. So I say, okay, time to introduce some more pinkies. As soon as I drop one in, he grabs it. And so does the other normal timber rattlesnake back behind him. And I should mention, this rattlesnake that's eating his first meal, at this point, is now 23 days old. 23 days old, and it's eating its first meal. But the snakes have to be able to survive that long, because if this snake was in the wild, it may be that long before he's able to find his first meal. That's why these snakes have so many babies, because most of these snakes in the wild will not survive. These albinos probably really wouldn't survive because these snakes are cryptic. They rely heavily on camouflage, and as you see, these albinos have no camouflage. They'll lay out in the open in their habitat, and with their natural colors, their normal colors, they're invisible. But this bright orange and white, they stick out like a sore thumb, and so they'd easily be picked off by predators. Finally, the last albino timber rattlesnake decided that the mouse looked appetizing.